All right, guys, thanks for joining me on the Polish American Brotherhood. I am joined by my host and father, Marian, PoAmDaddy. How are you doing, Dad?
Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm very happy now that you come back, and slowly probably we can do something that is positive for America.
How are you doing, Dad?
Yeah, I'm very.
All right, since I haven't been in the studio in, I almost feel like a year, though I haven't been in the US in the past like 4 months and everything. So it's like getting used to all the equipment again. You guys know I'm a big tech nerd and I feel like I'm relearning everything. And also like we actually had stroke of lightning literally hit the house and studio and it fried a lot of my gear while I was away. So the past couple of days have been very expensive with replacing the things that I lost. I guess the biggest one that I lost was my Rodecaster Pro, and they have a Rodecaster Pro 2 now that I have to learn, but you know, thanks to my main sponsor, PoAmDaddy, for putting together this fantastic studio that will let us do father-daughter podcasts here on the Polish American Brotherhood.
Yeah, that's nice, Tara, that we're here and we can enjoy our friends, chatting with them.
Oh, good, guys. So I am paying attention to the chat. Hey, Mr. Nice Guy. So you're hearing feedback come from Dad's microphone. So thanks for letting me know that. Do you guys hear feedback coming from my microphone as well, or is it just on Dad's? Hey, Dad. Remember, we want to look at the camera.
Okay, I just was looking
Dad,
at it, chatting to see what was going on because somebody complained that my mic is not working, or
try putting your microphone a little closer to your,
my mouth.
yeah, to your mouth.
Okay, I think it's very close now.
Because when it comes to podcasting, you want to be about 3-4 inches away. So about right here is good. Okay. So we have a new lineup that's basically going to be going on with Polish American Brotherhood. You guys know that I have launched a different YouTube channel that is going to be separate just for my on-the-ground reporting, to separate from the political commentary and eclecticness that is the Polish American Brotherhood. As you guys have followed my journey from starting this channel back in 2020, we started off as a Polish history channel. So among our earliest videos, you'll see top 10 facts about Chopin, what you didn't know about today is Kosciuszko. And I mean, that all pivoted to my experience with 2020. I mean, we all couldn't help but become political with the events of 2020. And I think 2024 is going to be shaping up for even more of a turbulent year, but 4 more years. What are your thoughts on the 2024 election, Dad? Did you catch the town hall?
No, I probably didn't do anything about that election.
So CNN recently hosted a town hall with President Trump on, and he's definitely the comedian. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. You guys should definitely check that out if you haven't. It's the first time that President Trump has actually been back on CNN since 2016. So, I mean, Trump's great for CNN's ratings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what I can say, I still supporting Mr. Trump, and I think he should win the next election. But you know how the thing's going. We cannot say anything openly.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have some good candidates that are going to be running in the Republican Party. I am a fan of Vivek. I think that if he debates Trump on stage, he'll definitely bring out the best. We want to have good candidates during the primaries, so that way it pushes our best forward. So we'll see if DeSantis, my home state is Florida, so we'll see if DeSantis runs. I think I heard that Florida had passed a law that allowed for DeSantis to run even while he's governor. So we'll see if that happens.
Yeah. I like DeSantis also. I think he's just a little bit similar to Mr. Trump, and probably going to be the same policy. So if Mr. Trump is not going to run, of course, I probably support Mr. DeSantis. Not only because he's in Florida, but I think he's a good guy.
Yes, DeSantis has definitely done amazing things here for the state of Florida, and I definitely support our governor. Snooks, shout out to one of my faithful mods that are always out there. Thanks for advising that we do have to be careful in the Trump speak on the channel because they are cracking down, and with YouTube censorship, we have to play within the rules in order to their rules, not our rules, in order to stay on the platform, and we do want to continue to be hosted. So thanks, Snooks, for always having my back.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Toki, for warning me about talking about Mr. Trump. But I'm old man. I'm 74 years old, and I'm not going to be afraid if see that I can speak right about America. Okay, America was always good for me, and always wish that America would be the best.
Dad's definitely going to get me my next strike. That's for sure. Okay, I want to pivot away from the political speak. I know that this has mostly been a political channel slash riot channel in the past, sprinkled with Polish heritage. So be sure to check out a couple of our other videos. That we are going to be putting together more content that is educational about Poland, and because the original conception of this channel was to be bringing together Polish Americans and also putting out more information about the Polish contribution in America, because often it's overshadowed and left out of like history, even though we have bridges everywhere and statues everywhere named after Tadeusz Kościuszko and General Pulaski as well, like Kazimierz Pulaski. But all right, guys. So another reason that we are running tonight's podcast is we are doing a fundraiser for Baby Fadi, and so Baby Fadi has a deviation in his retina, and it causes, if it's untreated, it can result in permanent loss of vision. And also it causes like double vision right now, so he doesn't see things very clearly. He's a 6-month-old baby, and so we are having a fundraiser to get him the corrective surgery that he is going to need in order to preserve his vision, and so that way he can see the world as beautifully as those who weren't born with this condition. So I'm going to direct to the GoFundMe page. Here we go. Let me refresh this. So I launched this earlier today, and let's see, where are we at? Refresh.
Now, I just want to mention to you, because I'm Polish, okay, I wanted to let you know that I'm involved in Polish politics through my Facebook, and I'm a little bit familiar what's going on. In October, there's going to be an election for the parliament. It's just like a congress here, and there is opposition. Everybody thinks that opposition is very stupid in Poland, but the Law and Justice, who is at the power now, is very criticized by opposition, and hopefully the Law and Justice is going to win the parliament elections. So I have good hope for them.
Is it already Polish election season now? Because I feel like President Duda was just
well,
did they just have elections?
The elections for president is for 5 years, so he's going to be another probably. That was 2 years ago when President Duda been re-elected again, and he has 3 more years. But this election in October, it is like we have a Congress here, they have a parliament over there, and that's the parliament or Congress you can call. We call actually same. It's very the strongest in the country, because that's where they're making all the laws. And right now, they hold the power, and hopefully they're going to be for another 5 years.
Poland is definitely very based. I wasn't able to go this past year. I think the last time Dad and I went was in 2021. And so we caught a lot of the freedom marches that were going on and those protests. And also, I think they were protesting to get away from like NATO or the European Union. That's when they were, the European Union was contesting which law of the land was going to be reigning supreme. And they had decided in Poland that the Polish constitution trumps the European law, European Union law. Is that correct, Ed?
Yeah. The problem in Poland it is that we belong to EU, European Union, and European Union is tried to run by the Germans, which is this very strong country and financially well, and they openly saying, Chancellor Scholz saying that we have to have the power, but they not really have the idea how to be good to Poland, and that's why there is from Polish government big opposition to the Council Schulz, especially as you know that Germans and Russia, they've been good friends, and that's why we have the little problem in Europe now, especially east of Poland. Everybody knows what's going on in the other side of Polish border. And Poland is very supportive of the other countries. I don't want to say even the name, but everybody knows the country which is in trouble now from the Russians. And like Poland and United States, Ukraine and Britain, they make the union now to help that country to succeed. And Poland is actually second country which military helping that country. So, there is a lot of still Russian agents working in Poland. We call them trolls.
Trolls? Like the kind that we have online?
Yeah, online trolls, yeah. Russian trolls. I mean, don't think I don't like Russian people. They are people nice, but I'm against what the Russian government doing. And hopefully, eventually, we're going to rid of that guy who illegally started the war.
Dad's Facebook got shut down a couple of times. He got strikes on his Facebook page for saying Putin kaput.
Yeah, and they blocked me for 1 month for saying Putin kaput.
And then you went, as soon as you were back on, you wrote the same phrase, Putin kaput, and you also got blocked again, right?
That's what they did. They don't like when I'm saying Putin kaput, which I think is okay, kaput means,
Just kaput, finished.
Yeah, finished. He's finished, What he did, he should be finished long time ago. That's what I think.
Absolutely. All right, guys, I'm going to direct your attention back to the online fundraiser we're doing for Baby Fadi. So Fadi's dad is also in the chat right now. So everyone, please send prayers to Fadi's family and for fundraising for Baby Fadi to get the surgery that he needs. So I did start a Give Send Go account, and we'll be transferring that money to his family to get the surgery. We dropped the link down below, so please feel free to hit the pray button that's there, but also the give button that's there. So far we have raised $345, launching the campaign today with the goal being $1,000 to cover the cost of the eye surgery. So you guys can see Mom was a main contributor to that. So any super chats that we also get during today's live stream will be directly donated to the surgery fund as well. So if you don't want to send it through Give Send Go and it's easier for you to send it just through super chatting me, perfectly fine. I'll make sure the money gets to Fadi's family, so that way he can get the surgery. And let's get to that $1,000 to cover Baby Fadi's surgery, guys. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Nice Guy, I hope you're not Russian. If you're saying the Ukrainian kaput, that's, we love Ukrainian people. We love also Russian people, but we don't like the Russian government. So I think the Ukrainian country should be free, because they've been fighting for a long time for freedom. I remember my time when I was raised in a not free country. That's why I left and came to America. I'm very happy to be in America. America was good for me, but also America needs a little bit improvement. So I will be working on that improvement, which is, taking care of the homeless and taking care of retirees. and me and Tara, we will be uh, slowly working on that project. So there won't be any more problem because American system is beautiful, let you do whatever you want, long as you do everything with the law. But if you're gonna go
Land of the free, and we are a country
right,
of law and
right,
order.
but also we don't want to see people sleeping on the streets, okay? And we don't want to. When you retire, you should be happy, happy life, not just worry about the finances, all the problems what the retirees have to go through. So I see the problem in America, only those two problems, and otherwise America is perfect.
That kind of relates to how I spent almost the last 4 months in France covering the pension reform protests, aka riots, as well. So for those of you who follow me on my reporting channel, On the Ground with Tara, please sub that channel. If you're not yet following me on my reporting channel, please sub On the Ground with Tara. You'll find that also in my recommended pages on the Polish American Brotherhood. So, Dad, what are your thoughts about Macron's raising the retirement age from 62 to 62 to 64? And how does this relate to your thoughts on retirement?
Yeah, the problem it is that I can give you an example. When the opposition got in power for 7 years, they raised for the women from 60 to 65, and for the men from 65 to 67. Nobody say anything. Polish people are very peaceful. Now in France, they raise only 2 years to men and women, and you see the problems. Now the new government came, which is Law and Justice, and lowered for the women again to 60, and the men 65, and everybody happy. So looks like this election the same, which is the parliament, gonna win from Law and Justice, and we have a hope for that because Poland and United States now working really well. There is a lot of businesses going to Poland, and Poland gonna build also nuclear power plant from United States, Westinghouse. The other one, they're gonna build Korean because they saying because of the Korean technology. So you see when a good government, okay, they don't have to raise the time for people to retire, because I remember when I came to America, I was watching TV and they've been saying that we're gonna work only 2-3 days a week, that they're gonna, after 20 years you can retire, and stuff like that. And now it seems like we need more labor, even with all that big technology what we have. So I don't know what the French problem it is, that they're short of the money, but France is a great country. They have a nice climate, they have good technology, and are they short of the money? Yeah.
Well, basically, what's going on in France is when the pension system was put into place, which was after World War II, it was almost 8 workers to 1 retiree. So it was a pay as you go type of model. So you had the 8 workers then funding the retirement pension for that 1 worker, and now you have about less than 2 workers to every 1 retiree. So France also spends a significant portion of its GDP to support its pension system. So Macron is raising the age in order to keep people working more. And the way I like to explain it is that the pension system is something that people pay into. It is their tax dollars, and France is a very heavily taxed country. It's socialized. So they see this as the government still robbing them of their money when there's other options that can occur in order to fund the pension system, because they see this as a social right. And so as we are attached to our amendment rights, imagine if the government's going to be chipping away at our freedom of speech, which is something that we see going on now. And so whenever the government takes something away, specifically a right, don't ever expect to get it back. They'll just keep chipping and chipping away at it until there is nothing left. And that is the sentiment of the French people, and hence why they had massive protests going on throughout the country for the past like 4 months. Now, also, so there are legitimate protests that are going on with hundreds of thousands of people participating. For those of you who follow me on the ground, my main focus has been on covering what's been going on with the Antifa action and also the rioting that occurs there. So I just want to let everyone know that even though this is the portion of the protest I am showing, that there is legitimate protests that are going on while this riot is going on. You have those that are in Black Bloc that are Antifa, anti-fascista. They do their direct action, and they're trying to just fight with the police. So that's the on the ground coverage that I've been focusing on for the last like couple of months. But I do want to highlight there are legitimate protests that have been going on in France as well.
Well, one thing what I can tell you, I retired at 7 years old, and I was very happy to retire at that age, and only because I had a good job. I love to go to work. The thing I retired at 70 because they gave me good money to retire, what they call early retirement, which for me was not early because I retired at 70. But you see, you can improve the system of retirees. And my system, I know how to improve that the retirees can live very cheaply. And they can retire almost any age and little retirement. The money what they can receive from Social Security or pension, that's the whole idea. It is to create system which you can afford to retire and not worry about the money for the rest of your life. You can be protected. And I know how to do it. It's just nobody right now wants to listen to me, and I hope Tara will want
Good,
to.
we're all listening to you right now. All right, I want to do a hard pivot and cover a question that 360 Stephen had asked earlier, and that's about our Dad. I hope you've heard this story about in New York there was a retired Marine who had who had held down, did a chokehold along with 2 other guys to subdue a homeless man, and the man later died in the hospital. And so he's being charged with homicide of some sorts. I don't recall the exact charge, but basically you have a person who stood up to save other people and defend other people, because you see all these crazy stuff going on in New York all the time. Like, I do not, maybe because I'm Asian, I stay far away from that platform, because there has been a high incidence of Asians being pushed into the subway tracks there. And that rarely makes any noise or the news. But when you have somebody who's stamping up to defend, then that's when it makes the news. That's when you have Congresswoman AOC calling for Penny's arrest and everything. And I think this is just an example of clown world that we're currently living in, and an example of how in these democratic run cities like New York and San Francisco, they're trying to criminalize those who defend themselves, because it is a right to defend yourself, but they're trying to strip that away. And I see this incident with Penny as another example of, if you try to defend yourself, you're going to be the one who's going to be prosecuted in the wrong, not the actual criminal, as opposed to the actual criminal is going to be caught and released without bail. So this is just a democratic experiment that they're trying to turn the city into Gotham of some sorts. What are your thoughts about what happened in New York with Penny?
Well, I don't know exactly what really happened, but I still maybe I'm repeating myself, but they should do something about the homeless, that they not supposed to live on the street or walk even on the street. they should be in my system. That my idea it is to create farms where they can find very comfortable, because the homeless people are have a feelings. They sometimes good people, and they can be like normal people if we have to take care of themselves, because not all the human beings have a good brain, and if
Mm-hmm.
you not succeed with life and you end up on a street, well, we should do something about it. Those people who have a little bit better brain, they should take care of those who less fortunate and give them this condition. We have to take care for the animals. We have to take care for the homeless people too, And there are people who, even if you give them the good opportunity, they can come back after the treatment to the normal life, But
But we're lacking that kind of treatment, because this is what the guy was mentally ill, but a person who's mentally ill shouldn't be allowed to be threatening people out in the open and saying that he's not afraid to die. And basically, this guy also had more than 40 recent arrests, and so he was a danger to society. And you got to think about it also, like in New York, people mind their own business. If there's something going on, like, people won't step in. I personally certainly experienced that a couple years ago when I was getting attacked by Antifa, and just everybody just kind of watched as a mob of like 30 people chased me, and nobody will step in for that. That's like New York now, as opposed to like doing the right thing. So what Daniel Penny did was the right thing, and with that, he even from the accounts that I had heard, he like didn't initially he held back from stepping in, and then he did at the point that, all right, this guy is a clear and present danger to those who are around. So he did the right thing with defending people, and he shouldn't be charged. I think this is completely bogus that they are charging him.
yeah, well, the law and our system might be not perfect, okay, but like I says, we should concentrate on solving the problems really quick. What I noticed that politicians don't care about the homeless people or to fix properly the retirees problem, and eventually I want to spend rest of my life and do something that we can find a solution for the retirees and homeless people. And it's a
Absolutely.
very simple. It's very simple system. I mean, why we cannot for the homeless build the farms for them where they can, do something and not be bogus to the American people. For example, how would you feel if you open a business and some homeless people stay on the front of your business and maybe put a tent, maybe even do something smelly on the front? You would be pissed
I
off,
mean,
probably.
you just walk the streets of New York. Everywhere smells like urine. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be difficult for you to be running your business in that case. And a lot of these Democrat-run cities, like, they're so heavily taxed, but yet they have the worst like homeless problems. So where's that money going into actually solving it? Rides a Harley was saying, as you were saying, Dad, that it's the system that has failed these people, and as a result, like, you'll have people who are mentally ill out and about in the streets. But even with that, like I'm not saying that we shouldn't have sympathy for those who are homeless and on the street, but at the same time, if somebody's threatening you, you have the right to defend yourself. So when they're prosecuting the people who are defending themselves and protecting other people, that's definitely wrong. PB, thank you very much for the $20 super chats. That's going to be $20 going to the fundraiser for the surgery for Baby Fadi. Thank you, PB.
Yeah. And I want to mention that, of course, you have the right to protect yourself or defend yourself, but the best defense it is stay away from people who are danger to you. Keep a distance, and
Stranger danger.
yeah, if somebody, we have people who try to make a mess, but we're getting involved in it, and that's what we can get in trouble. But
That's
let
true.
me tell you, the homeless people mostly are mentally sick. Yes, that's true. But you have to know that mental illness comes mostly from bad nutrition. If your brain don't receive enough nutrition, things get crazy. Okay, and no people understand. Nobody will help you at that point. They think you are crazy. That's it, and you should be not around. But we cannot do anything about it. Okay, so if we create some kind of system that they can help themselves with the nutrition, growing own food, healthy food, sometimes they don't know how to even feed themselves. I see sometimes when I watch the video about the homeless, they looking for the food in
The
garbage
diving.
dumpster. Yeah. When I was in Los Angeles with Tara, I was waiting for Tara on the street, and people who didn't finish their food, they put the food close to the garbage, and then I see homeless people coming and picking up the food.
Well, that's kind of nice.
That's kind of I think
I mean, you don't want
very
to
low.
waste
Yeah,
food, so that's kind of nice. I mean, like if
it
I have
is not. It
leftover food, I try to give it away also.
yeah
And
it
then it is interesting though when people are asking, they're begging for money for food, and then they'll reject the food when you give it to them. I have definitely experienced that as well.
mhm. No, that's very nice of those people who giving leftover food, but for a human being eating the leftover, I don't see this right.
Yeah,
That
it takes, in a sense, like it takes away their dignity by doing that, because when you're helping people, also it's important to maintain and instill that sense of dignity, and that relates to your project idea for the mega farm for the homeless, so that people can be self sustainable and then positively contribute to society, basically, by living together in a mega farm. So, to recap for those who have been following us for a while, one of my dad's passion project ideas is to build a mega farm for the homeless. America has so much farmland that's available. So, why do we keep putting all of these homeless shelters in our cities when we could be using farm space and allow people to grow their own plants and their own vegetables, so that way they can grow their own food. So they're similar. I've seen this on a smaller scale in other areas like in the UK, and it has seemed to work in those areas. So dad's idea is to have a mega farm, and rather than building having shelters inside of the cities, or like in New York what they're doing with putting people in the hotels, um, to utilize the abundance of farmland that America does have.
you, I try to help some homeless person, and we've been looking for a place to where to put her, and we have in Orlando homeless. What I know is two places, one in downtown Orlando and the other one in Sanford, and nobody wants to take her. They told me she have to fill that application, and I cannot even describe how they treating those people who find themselves in trouble, you know, and we couldn't place her for a long time. Finally, I had to press the manager over there. You have to take her because she cannot live on the street. But it's not enough. They have a building and they give them a room to stay, but that's not enough. My project would be to, like Tara mentioned, is a mega farm, okay, where they can we can spread those mega farms all over America, and anybody who actually is in trouble, they can go over there and to be taken care of it. I have to tell you also that I experienced to be homeless too. When I crossed the border from Yugoslavia to Italy, I didn't know where to go. And I've been helped, and thanks to, you know, that I've been helped, I end up in America, and I end up to work for Chrysler 5 years. I end up to work for Tiger Air 7 years and 35 years for Continental United Airlines. And if I wouldn't be helped, I don't know what would happen to me.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why Dad is very passionate about helping the homeless, because he himself has experienced being homeless, and you know, being a very humbling time of needing that extra step, which, when you pay it forward. Now my dad, coming in as a refugee to the Americas first, and from Italy to Canada, and then now into the US the legal way, uh, has now provided an amazing life for me and my brothers. So that is like that is the quintessential American dream. And so, speaking of helping others, let me go back to our fundraiser. Hey guys, all right, for those of you who are just joining in, we are here fundraising to get eye surgery for baby Fadi, who's 6 months old and who was born with a condition where he has a deviation in his retina. And so, this will, if it goes untreated, it will. He'll lack developing, like seeing things in depth perception in 3D, and if it goes untreated into childhood, could result in permanent vision loss. So we are fundraising to get him the surgery to help him see clearly and to take care of his vision. So thank you for the anonymous donor who donated $50, and then also PB earlier for the $20 super chat. So during this live stream, we've now raised $70 going towards baby Fadi's vision surgery. So guys, please check out the Gifts and Go link that is here on the YouTube page, and go ahead and hit the pray button. Give any amount to help reach the goal of $1,000, which will cover the surgery. So when we started out the live stream, we started at $345 that I had raised throughout today. And now we're at $70 more during this live stream. Let's keep it going as much as we can, and I greatly appreciate it. You guys will notice that this is also the first time I am raising money for any cause. I have been very, you don't want to exhaust an audience by any means. So this is the first time I am asking for you guys to donate to this cause. I don't ask for donations for my equipment or anything. When people send money through super chats or any ways that is supporting my journalism work, I greatly 100% appreciate that support towards my professional endeavors and everything. So this is the first time I'm asking for a cause, and that's because it speaks to my heart. I am friends with baby Fadi's dad. And so in talking to him and finding out more about what's going on, I felt that it's necessary to be raising the money for getting baby Fadi's surgery done, because the world is beautiful, even how grudging it can seem and everything. So this innocent child that has the impaired vision of not seeing the world as it is and risks not being able to see it if he doesn't get this surgery. I think it's really important, and my heart goes to this, and hence why I am asking you guys to also reach into your hearts and send super chats and send money into Gifts and Go so we can get baby Fadi his surgery.
Okay. Yeah, we have to take care of each other, especially when somebody needs help, like that baby, We are sensitive to the little children. We all are, But what I can say that to all the people who chatting with us, okay, make sure that you nourish your body good, because then your brain will work better, So
Thank you, God Rides Harley, for another $5 super chat. Speaking of like good nutrition and everything, so I drink a lot of coffee. I'm trying out this new, it's mushroom coffee, so it's supposed to be like anti-inflammatory, and you can see I have my favorite mug.
I'm not sure about any coffees. I have to tell you that
it's mushroom coffee. It's not made from like coffee beans. It's made from a various like 6 or 7 different mushrooms, and it's supposed to support like immune system. And I heard good things about it. My brother Mark tried it before, and he liked it, so I'm giving it a try. I'm also like, since I got back from Europe and everything, I'm going alcohol free, and I can tell you like just that I've probably dropped like 5 pounds in the last like couple days since I've been home from not drinking. So that's also another thing that will be great for your health if you're able to put that up is, but sometimes after those hard days of battling Antifa, you just got to have a beer.
Well, about the coffee, I'm not against the coffee because I have sometimes 1 or 2 cups a day. Very weak, a lot of milk,
And you
But
put honey in it.
yeah, I put honey, which I try to avoid sugar. Actually, I never use the sugar anymore. But I use 2, 3 spoons of honey, which is supposed to be good, antibacterial stuff. But you can figure out your own, and you have all the information either on a YouTube how to nourish your body well, and you should take care of your body because you live only one time, and you should live very happily. And happiness is basically in your health. If you're healthy, you're happy. No matter what's happening in the world, when your brain feels good, you're good, okay, and your body good too.
That's
So,
so
but
true. If you can have all the wealth and riches in the world, but if you don't got good health, it means nothing. You can't enjoy
right,
it.
right. So, for example, for my nutrition, I make blending fruits, and for juicing, I use carrot, celery, and some of the red beet. Red beet is good for you because it has a lot of hemoglobin, which your body needs and your blood needs. Okay, and the whole idea it is make sure you're getting enough oxygen. Go for a walk every day. If you don't go to gym, go for a walk. 5, 10 minutes
Walking
walk.
outside in the sunshine is actually a better treatment for depression and anxiety than
Yeah.
anything that the doctors are going to be prescribing you with these pills that then support the pharmaceuticals when big pharma, when just walking outside can be a great cure for depression. Also, Snooks, thank you very much for the $25 super chat. That's $25 more in the fund for Baby Fadi's vision, to support a healthy vision and get his vision restored. Thank you.
Thank you, Snook. So I still want to mention about you that I before neglected my health. I eat a lot of junk food. My normal time was Burger King or McDonald's, Kentucky Chicken. It is good sometimes to go, but if you nourish your body and every day with a good food, mostly the fruits and fruits and vegetables, you should be good. You can extend your life at least for 20, 30 years. So when I use a lot of junk food, when I was 40, I looked like 70. Now I'm 74 and I feel like 40, so my diet might be good for me. And also, I go for a walk. I go to gym for swimming.
Yeah, Dad goes to the gym every single day. He swims every single day, and so that for those of you who have been following me from the beginning, Dad had a very bad experience with COVID, in which he was hospitalized in the ICU for 6 weeks. And I do firmly believe what helped him get through that was the good health that he had prior to that, and his diet and exercise routine, because like Dad used to bodybuild and everything, so he was very, very fit. And my mom, actually, who just celebrated her 70th birthday, shout out to Mom, happy birthday, this past weekend or a week ago. What day is it? I've lost track of time, but her birthday was on Mother's Day. So my mom just turned 70 and she looks no older than 50. So I hope she's passed on those genes. And I asked my mom, what is your secret to looking so young? And she's like, sunblock. She wears sunblock every day, and a lot of water is the other. And she goes, and no alcohol. And I'm like, oh, that might be a little hard, but that's true. Like if you don't drink, you're gonna look half your age by the time you're a senior. So props to Mom.
I would say that your mom looks good being 7 years old looks like 50 because maybe she have a good husband.
Yeah, that's true. You know, if your spouse gives you a happy life and stress free, that will also help preserve you from having those lines.
Yeah.
Nothing
The,
worse than having a stressful
my
spouse.
advice to have a happy marriage, it is never make your spouse stressful. Okay, avoid. Sometimes you feel like your spouse doing something wrong. Uh, don't do anything, you know. Think that nothing happened. Give a good hug to her, you know, keep her home. Don't revenge because mostly people's nature is revenging, and that's bad idea. When you revenge, somebody revenge you, and
Yeah,
that's bad.
you know what they say: if you seek revenge, dig a grave for two, because that's a poison that's within you. So it'll take you down as well. So I just noticed that my mom's also in the chat. Lux 1953. She says her secret is be grateful to God. That is how she has stayed young, by showing and expressing gratitude to God. And that is true, actually. When you have a grateful attitude, that helps alleviate any stress. And when you're able to see what is good in you know, even challenging situations. So I'll bring that point up for a little bit, that my mom actually has a very strong spirituality, and so and a very devout belief in God. My family is Catholic, and so you can say that because Poland is also very super Catholic, as well as Philippines being super Catholic. So I was always told I'm super Catholic, but my mom would call me a cafeteria Catholic, if anything. But it's what I've witnessed with my parents, to have such a strong spiritual core, that when they were facing any kind of adversity, that they were always able to overcome it without breaking apart. And my family is immigrants coming to the US. My mom was an immigrant from the Philippines, and dad being even a refugee. So things were not exactly the easiest for them. And you can see that, like, I spend most of my time now traveling, and so that's a life that they were able to jump in one generation, really, in America. And that shows, like, the upward mobility that one can pursue with the American dream. And that's something that makes us very unique from the rest of the world, and that's a value that needs to be preserved. But circling back to having a devout belief in God, so however you define your spirituality to be, when you have a strong spiritual core, it can't be broken by anything that's in the outside world, because only what is in the outside world can be broken by what's in the outside world. But something that is spiritual is not of this world, so it cannot be broken by anything that occurs in this world. So I do recommend those two, you know, whether it comes in form of meditation, but to take care of your spirituality, so that way when you are going through difficult times, you are able to get past it without breaking apart, and then see the next day. And also go outside for a walk and have that sunshine. That will also help lift you from anxiety and depression, way better than any pill that big pharma is going to be giving you.
Yeah, I want to say that spiritual life is very important for your body, okay? Because if you believe, no matter what religion you are, Christian, Jew, or Muslim, you have to respect each other. And spiritual life, it is that you have to believe that there is something above us, and eventually our spirit will leave us, our body, and we're going to live forever. If you believe in that, you're not going to be scared to die, okay? Because we all going to die, no matter what you want to or not. You will die someday. But if you have that belief that there is another world, which is maybe more beautiful than this one, then you're going to be more happy.
That's true. That's something I have noticed also with people who have a belief in a form of a life after death. I've seen amongst friends who don't believe in a form of an afterlife or reincarnation, however you choose to define your beliefs to be. That those who do have a belief in something after death are less afraid of death, because they know that their soul is going to transcend into the next.
Yeah. One thing what I have to tell you that I have many times out of body experience. It's not happening now, probably because I'm on better nutrition, and I think that Out of body experience comes when your heart stops for a while and the spirit is released from your body. So that's why I'm very believe that there is another rule, okay, that the spirit once you body losing that energy, still that energy exists in your spirit.
And even energy that can be passed down by having children. So God writes a Harley. Just want to highlight your comment how your dad always jokingly said God gave us children so we don't fear death so much. It's true because you're leaving a legacy when you yourself go away. There's still somebody that's on this earth that is part of you. So I definitely agree with your dad.
Yeah. And coming back to what's happening in Europe, okay, I hope that United States and all the allies will be still involved helping that country which try to get on sovereignty, and people who are dying over there, mostly a lot of children, a lot of women's also, because that guy is really bad guy. I mean, he could solve this problem more peaceful, without sending the people, own people to death, because uh, the Western technology is much higher than the technology what the guy have. Okay, and eventually he should recognize somebody has to give him advice. Hey, you're gonna lose, and what's gonna happen that you're gonna have a lot of enemies, and he's younger than me. He should just, I heard that he's the richest guy in the world. He should take that money and live happily, give that power to somebody else who is more reasonable.
You know who else had a lot of money and who lost money by becoming president of a country?
Hmm?
Trump.
Well, I don't know how much money he have, but for the Mr. President too, I advise he's good. He wants very patriotic. He wants good for the country, but
Yeah.
he doesn't have enough. A lot of people support him. That's one thing, but it's not only the support of the money, but also the money. Those people who have the money, they in charge. For money, you do everything. It's not nice to say that, but that's what in the world it is, that people killing each other for the money. And I wish Mr. President the best, okay, because like I said, he's a good guy.
I mean, some parts of the world, they'll kill each other over chicken. The chicken can be a form of currency as well. But I want to highlight 360 Steven said he went to church today and it was great. It felt good. And so there's an analogy I'd like to pivot off of your comment with that is because I always saw going to church is a form of it's like going to the gym except for your soul and your spirit. So can we can we work out at home? Sure, but when you're able to go to a place where everybody is working out around you and that energy that's there, that can help and keep you motivated and focused, and you gain more from the energy of other people around who have the same purpose of being there. And so I think that was with everything that happened with the pandemic when they were closing down the churches, I do feel it, they were trying to break people's spirits so that way that they'd be able to follow more easily like sheep whatever orders that they were going to be giving, because if you break down a person's spirit, then they won't have the will to fight. So I think that's what was going on during the pandemic times with shutting down our churches under the guise of like social distancing. But that's my 2 cents there.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of happy that hopefully the COVID-19 is over, because in my case, I end up in a hospital and my weight is 220. I went down to 110. Half of me was gone.
Yeah, Dad was in a wheelchair when I took him out of the hospital and back home through a flight from DC back to Florida. He wasn't able to walk, so I'm glad that he's been able to recover and walk since then, because it was a fear. Like if he lost so much muscle mass um, from being hospitalized for the 6 weeks, we weren't sure if he was going to walk from that, but he has recovered. Speaking of health, I'm going to bring back up our fundraiser for Baby Fadi to get his eyes to be healthy. He was born with a deviation to his retina, which impairs his vision, causes double vision, blurry vision, and left untreated will hinder his development in depth perception. So basically, your ability to see the world in 3D. And if left untreated, it has to be treated at an early age too. If it's left untreated, can result in permanent vision loss. So part of today's live stream is we are fundraising to get the necessary surgery for Baby Fadi. So thank you for those who have been contributing. Please send in those super chats and click the link below for Gives and Go and donate directly to the fundraiser. Any super chats that come through, I'll be donating directly to the fundraiser. So even though YouTube takes a cut of the transaction from a super chat, I'm going to match that, and so it'll be a 1-for-1, and I'll contribute in a sense the transaction costs of the super chat that YouTube takes out. So for Snooks, who gave $25 earlier through super chat, $25 will be going directly into the fundraiser. $20 earlier from PB, that will be going directly. $20 will be going into the fundraiser as well. So please continue to support. And our goal is just to get to $1,000, guys. It's a lot of money, but if everybody can just give $5 or whatever amount, we pull that together, crowdsource it, then this baby, 6-month-old baby, can get the surgery that he needs to see the world as beautifully as the rest of us do. And so through his innocent 6-month-old eyes, let's make sure that he continues to have vision, but also that it's not blurry. William Joseph, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. $5 will be going directly to the fundraiser. Again, greatly appreciated.
Yeah, also I want to mention to you about our system. I think it's perfect, but I had bad experience with the dentist. I hope nobody else had that kind of experience, and probably next chat I will mention more about this, but I have to say that I went to Cost Dental, which is kind of big company, and as you see, because when I'm talking to you, you see my missing teeth.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a podcast actually directly about this, because I need to investigate it more, but I would not be surprised if Medicare fraud is going on. And so alleging, if anyone from Cost Dental, I'm not accusing you, so don't sue me for slander right now. But, based on the reviews of how other people are being treated and the experience that my dad has been having for the last 2 years battling you guys, something's up. And actually, when I started researching more into Medicare fraud, it is something that is quite common. So we'll do some investigative research for that and present that in a podcast of its own. But for sure, continue, Dad.
So I will share someday the story with you, but what my dentist did, that claimed that they did the job, charged my Medicare insurance for job which they didn't do it, and after 2 years they had to return the money, but I lost 2 years without the teeth, and to another office
You still don't have teeth.
Yeah, because I went to the other office and the same company, and they put the implants, but wrong implants. And now nobody wants to put, no dentist wants to work on finishing the job because that's supposed to be install crown, and they cannot install the crown. So I don't know. I'm still working on it.
No, this is when we go for medical tourism on a trip to Mexico, Dad.
I don't know if I want to go to Mexico. We see what they can do here. But right now I'm 3 years without my front teeth. So, don't think I'm neglecting, but That's what the dentist did to me, and someday I will explain you more what happened. So we have to improve some kind of the system that the dentist is not going to be do on any more people like they did to me. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely investigate more, and that will be a good research project, investigative journalism project for me to follow up with this particular dentist that I do, smell some Medicare fraud going on. So we'll see we'll see what I can dig up from that and report to you guys about what's going on there.
Yeah, and all what I wanted for my next birthday, my front teeth.
Two front teeth.
Two front teeth.
Literally, you need what, 2 or 3 teeth, right?
So now I maybe speak funny because I try to cover my two front teeth missing. But it's okay. I have to make a fun, but inside me, I feel a little bit hurt what the dentist did.
Well, I mean, what they did was completely wrong. You know what? Who else doesn't have teeth?
Oh.
6-month-old babies. And let me bring back up our fundraiser for 6-month-old baby Fadi. We are fundraising to get him eye surgery so that way he can see the world as beautifully as we do. And then also, this is medically necessary. He does run the risk of permanently losing vision if he doesn't have this corrective surgery done for children who have this untreated deviation in their eye. They do risk having permanently losing their vision, and then also conditions worsen when they don't develop the correct depth perception, so seeing the world in 3D. So we are fundraising for baby Fadi. Thanks guys for sending in the Give Send Go and super chats. Please make sure that they are still coming, so that way we can reach our $1,000 goal, which will cover the cost of the surgery. So $1,000. Baby Fadi is in Jordan, and that will. So $1,000 there will get the surgery. He needs to correct it. I felt like when I found out the cost of the surgery there, I was actually like pretty shocked, because in the U.S. it's so expensive. Even with insurance, like to have this type of surgery done, it definitely costs a lot more than that. So when I heard that the cost of the surgery was $1,000, I was like, let me put together the effort to see if we can raise that and cover the cost of the surgery, because in a sense, like with the cost of living, or the cost of living difference from throughout the world, the U.S. is quite expensive when it comes to our healthcare. So with my dad's issue with his teeth, even, I'm suggesting we go to Mexico to get that covered, or he'll continue to be toothless. But $1,000 isn't even going to cover a single implant tooth with insurance here. But $1,000 in Jordan, which I like, that's how I befriended Fadi's family, was during my most recent trip to Jordan, when I was there for 3 weeks and just explore this amazing country. So for those who follow me on my Takeoff with Tara, I'll be putting together more videos, travel vlogs, to cover my experience in Jordan, from seeing Petra, which was my dream. So I went there for my birthday, but that is when I befriended baby Fadi's family, and hence why we are raising money right now for baby Fadi's surgery, so he can get his vision corrected.
That's nice, Tara, of you. Okay, because no baby should have problems, especially when they grow. And Tara doing the good thing to help.
Especially when it's something that's just, it's preventable. In the sense, like, if he has this surgery, like, he'll be able to have the corrected vision and not risk losing his vision. Because when I think about it, like $1,000 to prevent you from losing your vision, like who wouldn't pay that? Like, who wouldn't pay $20,000 to or even $1 million to not lose their sight? So when I found out that the surgery in Jordan is $1,000, I'm like, okay, like, let's pull together and cover this. Like, we can't save the whole, every child in this world, but this one, I'm like, $1,000, and we can restore one child's sight. Let's do this.
See, that's Tara says that you have to go to another country to receive some kind of cheaper treatment. And also my retiree project would be spread to another countries, like safe countries, like maybe Belize or Mexico. And if you retire and you don't have the money to do, because medical things is very expensive in the United States, uh, you can go to another country, which the system would help you to go over there and get a cheaper needs what you need to better yourself. You know? So I will be strongly working on my projects, to help the retirees and also the help the homeless people. But one thing, since I'm on air, I would like to talk to Elon Musk because Poland is a very developing country now. A lot of businesses going over there. And I wish to talk to Elon Musk that he open his Tesla company in Poland. But at this time, I don't know how to contact.
Isn't he looking to build? Is it Tesla that's looking to build?
Berlin?
In Berlin. Oh, yeah, you were telling me that
Yeah,
he's looking to
built
build
Tesla in Berlin, but I think this is
now
wrong
let's build
idea.
in Poland over Germany.
Yeah, he should build in Poland. That would be more safe, than Berlin. Of course, we're gonna drive in future only the electrical cars, and if he would put one in close to the border of the eastern country, Ukraine, that would be great because that would help also Ukrainian people to work in a Tesla company. So I wish to somehow get in touch with him, but I'm just little fish, so he probably don't want to talk to me anyway.
So if anybody here in the chat knows Elon Musk, send him our way. My dad would love to have a conversation with him. Dad, I want to highlight on a point, drop some knowledge and facts. So you know how there's such a push going on to drive electrical vehicles right now, and Dad, you said that everybody's going to be driving electrical vehicles in the future. I mean, when you got to think about it, when it's people who are adamant about climate change, that being the reason why we need to, of course we want a clean earth and have clean energy, but you have to look at the entire process that comes through. Like, how are these electrical cars running? They're running on batteries. They're running on lithium. Where are the batteries coming from? Coming from China. So we will be supporting China's economy by having these electrical vehicles, and as opposed to our own economy. So America first, right? And then additionally to that, where does China constructs these batteries and everything? Where are they getting the lithium? Any guesses?
Well,
Iran.
We cannot look at the world of electric cars looking right now because the technology are going so fast that eventually in a few years probably there are going to be different kind of batteries, and we hope for that. Okay, but
well, when it's not being developed, when it's not being put together in China, and lithium's not being mined in Iran, so it's like our military enemy, and then our main competitor, which Biden's administration likes to call China like a economic competitor. They're more like our enemy as well. I'm talking about the government, of course, like not the people, because I have a lot of Chinese friends. But in terms of how Biden says they're competing against us, it's more than just it's not a healthy competition that's going on. It's actually them being our, we're lining the Chinese government's pockets as opposed to focusing on developing our own economy and employing Americans. We're outsourcing everything.
Yeah, you're right, Tara, that the lithium is very expensive now. And we're talking about rare material, which I heard that 95% we have to get from China. And I think already United States help enough China to develop themselves, and eventually they might take over the world. Okay, so United States have to think how to not be the second country in the world, because we are used to be the first one, and to uh, stay on the first, we have to develop the system for the retirees how to live cheaper. Okay, maybe even that the retirees don't need the cars anymore. Build a city which we don't need the cars. Especially, just think, some people already like 75, 80 years old, they cannot drive, you know. And what, they staying at home? They cannot do shopping. So we have to think about those retirees people. And my system can solve that problem. But I have to start talking all over the world to the people and convince them that my system is right.
I hear you. I hear you, Dad. Well, we'll be doing more podcasts for you guys to continue to talk about Dad's project and developing ideas, because this is an excellent way for those who are participating in the chats and everything for an exchange of ideas, and to help support each other with developing ideas of how we can make America great again, and how we can further these different projects. So that way America doesn't fall behind, the rest of the world doesn't fall behind China, as those bank accounts are linked to Biden and everything. Just kidding, YouTube oligarchies. Don't strike me with don't smite me with a strike. But yeah.
Yeah, one thing I have to tell you, because I got somebody comment, got rights about the Biden. Well, it's not only the Biden, okay? There is more people involved in the things which they do. So it will be.
It's Biden and Hunter.
It will be, I'm sure, more politicians involved in now or later in a thing which American people won't like it. But you have to know that strong China, that's mean big money, it will be coming to America to buy the politicians. Like right now, I can give you an example on my country, Poland, which we have a lot of agents from Russia and from Germany, okay, and they try to do something what Polish people don't like it, and since we have right now good government, we still building, and there is a lot of developments. Next big development in Poland is to build the best airport, I would say biggest even in Europe.
They're building that in Warsaw. Okay.
Yeah, and they will start in a few months to build like that.
We'll see if the Extinction Rebellion starts showing up to protest the building of the airport. I know that different climate change activists, Extinction Rebellion, have protested like the building of airports in Germany as well. So we'll see if they put on a show.
Yeah. No, I believe that we have to save the environment, but also the activists, the environmental activists, are getting the money from the businesses, and they serve only for the purpose what the the bad businesses, the bad politicians wants to do. So like the Greens people, environmental protection. They make big propaganda in Poland that Poland burning too much coal. I agree with that, but you cannot stop in one day. Okay, you have to turn. Maybe within a few years, takes to build a nuclear power plant. Okay, so they should help Poland to turn to the nuclear power plants, not just tell them to shut it off the power plants because you cannot burn the coal, okay? But I have to tell you that we like the Germans people, okay? but the politician cannot dictate Poland what to do, you know, if the politician in Poland doing the right things. So they try to shut the power plant in Poland, which give about 25% of the energy, electrical energy, what Poland needs. You cannot shut in a couple of days, you know. You have to build first the other power plants, which is more clean, and that's what Poland do, you know. Like I say, one is going to be built by the United States, Westinghouse. It's already signed the contract, and the other signed contract was by Korean. And they try to do another thing, which they talking to build from France, but since the France kind of shows not cooperation with Poland, then they still waiting till France gonna say, okay, Poland is good, you know, we want to cooperate. Not just telling Poland, you have to
French
do
must
what
be
we're
at
telling
lunch.
you.
Maybe the French are at lunch then. You know, there was a World War II history fact that I had come across that when Germany invaded Poland, Poland, you know, immediately went to the French for help, but it was like a French holiday. And so basically the French were like, oh, our politicians parliament is on vacation, so you'll be able to reach them, or they'll have a decision when they get back off their vacation. I'm like, boy, the French take their holidays very seriously. I'm like, you know, the world's breaking out into World War II. Germany's invading Poland, and then the French are like, okay, I'll be back after my lunch break.
Yeah. Well, one thing what happened to the Poland, we fell under the communist rules, and Poland. I don't blame the people who was looking at Polish people a little bit low, or the jokes in Poland and stuff like that. But you have to know, once we rid of the communists, of the Russian rules, Poland started developing very fast, and now is fastest growing economy in Europe.
Yeah, it's also the what, eighth largest in Europe, ninth if you include Russia. But people were fleeing from Poland before, and now everybody's going back, and
Yeah.
industry is booming there. Yeah, so it's quickly risen to be the eighth largest economy in Europe, and so to have like such a drastic, you know, it to have such a turnaround in a short amount of time shows the resilience of the Polish people as well. I mean, you think of it, Poland was wiped off the map several times throughout history, but they've always repeatedly come back. And so, I mean, that speaks to the spirit of the people, and I think that's in today's age, that's reflective of how fast the Polish economy has been able to recuperate from the time of communism to becoming a superpower in Europe.
Yeah, they expect that within a few years, like 5 years, Poland will become a superpower. We have this time very good government who really taking care of the children. You know, every mother who have 4 children receiving more money than she would work.
Yeah, Poland's government does a lot to be supporting the family unit. And so that's something that I feel like in America, the current administration and wokeism is all about destroying the core family unit, which then, you know, it all starts in the house, which then transfers into community and spreads from there. So the Polish government does a lot to support women and families, so that way families can flourish and can be healthy, because to have a healthy family unit is going to then contribute to a healthy society.
Yeah, once the Law and Justice, the government of this now, they took over the power. Right away, they took care of the children and retirees. Okay, so from that time, the Poland start building itself. The economy start growing, and it's like I said, it's the fastest economic growth in Europe. So hopefully they will continue, and Law and Justice, what they call PIS, peace,
Piss. It's for
piss.
shorthand. It's the piss party. But I still don't understand how the law and justice party translates to piss, but it does. God rides a Harley. Thank you for that liaison. Speaking of supporting children and families, we are here fundraising for Baby Fadi for him to get a necessary surgery so that way it corrects a deviation that's in his retina, which if it's left untreated can result in permanent loss of vision and also the condition where he won't develop correct depth perception, the ability to see the world in 3D. So this is a necessary surgery, and we're here fundraising. Our goal is $1,000, which covers the cost of the surgery. And let's get Baby Fadi the surgery that he needs to save his vision and support children and families.
Gut Riders, I know you don't like our government, but we have to still respect he's in power, so we have to respect that, okay? And hopefully through the
Dad,
election,
we don't have to respect the government. We have to challenge the government. Even if it were the other administration that's in office and everything, I think it's important for the people to always push back and be critical, because like even if you have a good government that's in place, if the people are pushing back, you can still get better. Because like how is a diamond formed? It's from the pressurized like coal turns into the diamond. So that is the people represents the pressure. So we should always be pressuring the government, and sure, respect from a person to person standpoint. Like I'm not a fan of Biden, but sure, if I had the opportunity to meet him, I absolutely would, and I would be respectful to him meeting him. When I can't believe it's a year ago, but when I was in Uvalde, the presidential press conference, that was the closest I was to him. It was like maybe like 10 feet away. And I was still honored to be in a press conference that he was present at, and when he was at the school to visit Robb Elementary School, which the Uvalde tragedy happened 1 year ago in May 2024. So I can't believe it's been a year since then. But yeah, I would of course respect him as a human being, person to person. But contrary to, I'll push back on my dad, I think we should always challenge the government. We should always protest. Even if things are going fine, like I think we should still protest and make sure that nothing, there's no, because when it, that saying when they say like if you are on time, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're left behind. It's a little similar to that if you're protesting at a point that you need to protest, you're already too late. You need to be protesting at the point that is not an issue, so that way it doesn't become an issue. Because if you're protesting something after it's become an issue, you're already too late into the game, and they've already taken away some of your rights. So even when things are peaceful and good, of course, peaceful protest, but we should always be protesting to make sure that, we don't lose our rights.
Yeah, that's true. What I meant, that if we cannot do any changes, because we can do only changes for his election, right? We have to keep calm, and for better of America.
Keep calm and carry on.
For better of America, we have to keep peaceful, because violence brings only disaster. And to those people, I just want to mention that sometimes people don't agree what the policeman's doing. I love the police, but I think like maybe half of the policemen should be fired, because they feel like they have all the power they can do, and sometimes they do things wrong, okay? They are paid by the citizen to protect them, and I think that that's what they should do. They shouldn't feel like they are gods that they can avoid. Well, one thing, thanks to the technology, we can always point those bad policemen, and they can get punished. But to solve the problems, I believe that each policeman should have own insurance. And if he does bad things, he getting sued, and the insurance doesn't want to already take them, they shouldn't do the work. Without insurance, own insurance, they shouldn't perform the work.
I hear you, Dad. I think that's the issue with the whole defund the police thing, though. When you're taking, in my former life, I was an auditor, and so whenever you are trying to correct a problem, you need to put more money into it and not defund and take money away from that. You get what you pay for. So if you want to attract top talent and qualified individuals, you have to offer a competitive salary and compensation for the job for it. So if we defund the police, we're going to get a crap police force. And so the whole concept that we've seen over the last several years with the defund the police movement with Black Lives Matter, that's not going to actually work, because in order to solve a problem, you actually have to fund it appropriately in order to then solve. So if we offer good pay and good benefits, then you attract top talent, and then they're competing for this job. So you'll get the best people to be then fulfilling the roles. And so it could be more than 50% that are like the bad cops and stuff. Because if you don't take care of the police, you're going to end up having a bad police force, and that's just common sense.
Yeah. I want to tell you about one example. One woman from Canada, she was stopped, I think in Georgia, for driving on a Canadian driver license, which is completely legal in America, having a Canadian passport. But the policeman supposed to know the law that they are allowed to drive, not taking her to jail, spent more than 1 day in jail, and they just released like nothing happened. If the policeman doesn't know the law exactly, which the woman told her that she's allowed to drive, she should call the supervisor or something like that and check, not just putting her in jail till somebody tell her, hey, you make the mistake.
Well, that's the importance of also that's the importance of knowing your own rights, because police are still like fallible. They can still make mistakes, and if those were on a power trip, then could they put you in handcuffs for no reason? Sure. I mean, when I was covering the protests and riots in France, like I witnessed, and kind of got in the middle of it, but when I was videotaping one altercation between the police and like I saw this group, like the individual that was involved, like all he said was "cassez-vous," which is basically like buzz off to the police, and so the police was like oh, "cassez-vous, cassez-vous," and then he came over and just like detained him. And then a woman that was screaming at the police, they turned around, like batoned her, and then so a police then had pushed me when I was close by and I was recording, but there's plenty of sidewalk space. I'm like, they pushed me and knocked my camera down and everything, and me to the ground as well. But I was like very suspicious about that, because I'm like, there's all the space on the sidewalk right here, but yeah, you knocked right into me. And I only can deduce it's because I was filming the abuse that I was witnessing from the police, like beating up. Then it turned to 3 police batoning this woman who for her yelling at the police officer who was detaining the guy that said "cassez-vous." So there's definitely like a power trip that can certainly occur, and we should be filming the police. There's laws that are being pushed through to not be able to film the police, and I disagree with that. That's something that is already in place in Germany. That's why Germany is actually really no fun to cover. I did cover Antifa protests in Germany before, and actually the police threatened to arrest me for filming. And I'm like, you have these Antifa black bloc that are blocking traffic and blocking the road, and infringing on another. It was a freedom march. The Patriots basically were. It was during one of the freedom protests that Germany was having, and so the police officer wasn't like attentive to the protesters who are blocking the road. They're instead threatening to arrest me because I was filming. So there is no First Amendment freedom of press, freedom of speech in Germany. Actually, they do have criminalized hate speech that's there. So yeah, Germany is not a fun place to be covering for reporting, as opposed to France. France is definitely excellent. I definitely plan on next year is the Olympics, and that's going to be in Paris, July and August. So I definitely will be covering those because I've seen how the French get over sports, especially with the World Cup. So I'll be bringing you guys that on the ground footage next year during the Olympic Games as well. So next year is going to be definitely a very busy year with it being an election year, and I'm really ramping up and looking forward to it.
Yeah, Snooky, nobody wants to defund the police. You're right, but we're supposed to check them if they're okay psychologically, because we don't want to bully police, okay? They are here to protect good people, and that's what they're supposed to do, not bully them. So that's my opinion, okay? So that's why I'm saying that each policeman should have own insurance, and if insurance won't take him because he's a bully, he do bad things, he shouldn't be in a police air force.
Yeah, I mean it's a very stressful job. So there definitely should be psychological evaluations that occur with any stressful jobs. Actually, when I was talking to friends who work in France, it's routine for them to be seeing as like a work psychologist, for them to evaluate how much time that they're working, because they have like a 35-hour work week. It's illegal to work on weekends. It's past a certain time of the day, you're well compensated if you do overtime, but weekends and holidays are very sacred. So also part of like their work culture is that they have work psychologists that evaluate the workers to make sure that they have a good work-life balance. I think that's something that we could actually adopt into the US as well. And that because you're working more hours doesn't necessarily mean you're being more productive, because burnout is definitely real. I used to work as a management consultant, and I got to tell you, when I quit my job, it took me more than a year to clear the fogginess that was in my head, because I'm used to operating very sharply and everything. But it took me almost a year because of the amount of stress that I was under for my job before. And it just because I was plowing through so many work hours, it doesn't mean I was like more effective and efficient. And then at the end of it, you just burn out. So there might be a method to this madness about the pension reform, in terms of like retiring by 62 rather than 64, because are you really going to be more effective if you're working to a later age? Because when you think about it, like let's say there's unemployment, but you're still working, so then you're going to be collecting unemployment, because if you're not able to work, so that's another cost that could potentially happen. And also, like, if you're working more, you probably will have more stress in your life, and stress causes you to become sick and causes illness. So you're going to have more people that are out on sick leave, and then with that also can be quantified into another cost. So is it really going to be a solution to raise the age, make people work more? In America, we're so used to having a late retirement. What's the retirement age here? Like 67, Dad?
Where is that?
In the US, we're 65, 67,
Well,
something like that.
they kind of racing steadily.
Yeah, because we're not protesting. We're gonna the next thing you know, it's gonna be 75 for retirement, and they're gonna say like, oh, because everyone's life expectancy is so much longer, you have to work till you're 75. Like, I mean, like, you're pretty old at that point. But that, like, we don't protest against it, so like it's sneaking behind us to be increasing our retirement age. So I have to agree with the French even protesting 62 to 64. It was only 10 years ago, I believe, a little bit more than 10 years ago, that they raised it from 60 to 62. So this does lend to, if you have a right that's being chipped at, like, it'll just keep going. And so if anything, though Macron has passed the increase in age and the other reforms for the pension reform, and it is going to be taken into effect, just the act of protesting maybe that will slow it down in the future. Like maybe in some parallel universe, they would have been increasing the age from 64 to 66 in 3 years, but now it's been slowed down to being, in 10 years from now that will occur. So even though the outcome of all of this protests over the past several months didn't come out to stopping this reform from happening, possibly it slowed it down. And so that's why I am very adamant about exercising your right to protest, because if you stay silent and you think you're safe, you think that everything is smooth, that's when something's going to sneak behind you. And we're here in America, people aren't they don't even notice that they're slaves to the system, and they're just used to being on this hamster wheel of working and being spun this if you go to university and you'll be able to get a good job and have a good pay after that, like as opposed to maybe pushing some trade schools. Like, is university really that necessary nowadays? Like, I feel like I learned more on YouTube than I did getting my 2 master degrees, and my 2 master degrees certainly was not cheap. And so and the thing is, like, the level of student loan debt that kids are having to take out in order to obtain these educational achievements, or papers on the wall. Like, how long does it take you to then pay that back? So you're then starting life out like in debt, as opposed to, like, maybe if you went to trade school and you're able to start life out debt free, you'd be able to have disposable income, or at least be on the plus side to be able to exponentially grow that, as opposed to starting life as a young adult out like in debt. So I feel like this is a lie that kind of, like, my generation as millennials were like spun, that you have to go to these universities and get these degrees, and it just like change you to a desk, as opposed to like finding a different way to like break out of it. And like, honestly, after I left New York, and I don't have the salary that I once had working in New York, but my cost of living was so high that it was just one for one. So even if I'm taking a pay cut now, actually I have a better quality of life than when I was working myself to the bone and just, working to live, as opposed to just living life. So that's some of the things that keep us in this little like loop of being on the hamster wheel. So we got to be creative and find ways to, once I broke out of there, I changed my lifestyle and found other ways of replacing my income. And I was able to get rid of that kind of stress, but we have to think creatively. And so when these corporate, life and what we're being told is to follow along this path, there isn't just one path in life. So everybody has to walk to their own beat. That's my rant.
Talking about retirement, okay, in America, actually, in my case, I could retire at 66, I think 66, okay? But since I had a good job, I've been working to 70, but also that depends how you feel. I heard about one flight attendant who was 90 years old and he was still working, But if you feel you want to retire, let's say at 62, yes, in America you can retire at 62, but if you want a health insurance, Medicare, you are eligible at 65. So for that 3 years, you're going to be without health insurance unless you pay from your own pocket. Or if you move to another country, like Mexico, you can buy probably very cheap insurance over there. And I heard they have a good health benefits over there, if you have the insurance.
I don't know necessarily if it's better health benefits. It's just cheaper. Like medications, like outside of the US, is a lot cheaper. So like, think of like big pharma and how that's like controlling a lot of. It's another way actually that's keeping us like in this hamster wheel, is like people are dependent on their medications, and so they're spending all their money on it, when outside, like, insulin and penicillin is cheap. So Trump had lowered the cost of insulin to make it affordable. But when when insulin was was expensive and people had to spend their entire paychecks just to get this necessary medicine. For them, it keeps them again, like chained to a desk or chained to working. And why, we have to ask ourselves, like, why is it necessary if I can go to another part of the world and have this exact same thing for such a, you know, big price difference? Like, what is the agenda that's behind behind this big pharma in the US? Even when it comes to you know, I always get my contacts whenever I go to Europe, because you have to get a prescription and see the eye doctor in order to be able to get your contacts like once a year and everything. So that's an additional cost by having to do that, to get something that I can buy in a grocery store when I go to Europe.
Yeah. One thing what J. Paul says, that trade schools are very important. Yeah, I believe I went to the trade school in Poland, and that's what gives me a good job in America. But I have to tell you, once you finish high school, okay, it depends what you want to be. If you want to be doctor, yes, you have to get to university or get that license to be a doctor. If you want to be nurse, also you have to get the license to be nurse. You have to go to school. But if you just finish some school and go in another, end up in some kind of production, you don't need that trade school. I know when I was working in Chrysler, I had a friend, co-worker, who been a janitor, and he finished college to be a teacher. And he says, I don't like to be teacher. I prefer to be a janitor in a Chrysler. Okay, so that was lost time for him, not only lost probably money too, you know. So you have to decide that once you finish high school, you should be enough smart to know what you want to do. You know, if you want to go through all that schools and be, you know, high educated and have a good trade, that's fine. But if you're just going to go over there doing, even Tara's friend, she went to high school, to university, and she couldn't get the right job, so she went back to be nurse, right?
Who? I mean,
Your friend, she was in a not the right way about the finishing university, right? And she then
no,
turned to
she
be,
went back for nursing because she wanted to be in the medical field and everything. So she's in healthcare administration. So not, but
so she didn't waste time, right?
no.
Okay.
She's a nurse practitioner now, so
Yeah.
she's running the show and doing very well. But Dad, you bring up an interesting point, because you're saying, like, oh, you need to know what you will do in life when you're 18. Most people nowadays can't decide if they're a girl or a boy. So heaven help this generation if we can't even define what a woman is, or decide what gender we are, or recognize the gender that we are. How is one to even know what they want to do for the rest of their life?
Yeah. You know, one thing, the life is so short that if you even gonna waste a lot of time on educating yourself and you're not gonna use it, that you basically losing your time, you know. I'm not talking about that.
I felt like that was. I felt like that was a personal attack, Dad.
Yeah. How many years did you go to university?
Oh wow! I mean, well, I finished my bachelor's in 2 years. So I graduated from undergraduate when I was 20 years old. So I kind of saved time, because typically it's 4 years, and I was able to do that in 2. But then, you know, I went for a first master's, finished that in 2 years, and then graduated into the recession, where at the point that I graduated with the first master's when it was 2007. I'm dating myself. But at the point that I graduated with my first master's, I was getting less job offers than when I had just the undergraduate and with just the bachelor's degree. So my job opportunities were less at the point, because the country had just gone into the recession. Lehman Brothers fell, and we had the housing bubble burst. So it was a terrible time for fresh graduates to be entering the world. So because of that, and I wasn't able to get a job in my field, other than a non-paid internship where they didn't hire any of the interns afterwards. So we were just basically free slave labor. I went for another master's after that. So because I I was used to being a student. So
So with all that education, what you got, and you end up with this job behind the desk, could you do
yeah.
it after high school?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Was it necessary for me to go through like the levels of education I had? I mean, I was always like the straight A student, so I felt like, oh, you're supposed to go for and I'm Asian, so I'm like, I'm supposed to go for an advanced degree. That's just what straight A Asian students do. Like, I didn't really think too much outside of the box to realize there are different ways, other than this prescribed path, which I feel like we're being told this is the path, and what's the agenda behind it. I think it's to actually keep people in debt, because when you keep people in debt, you make them a slave to the system, and so they need worker bees. They need people to stay in place. Like, I only became politically active when I had the time to read past a headline. People are so busy these days, when they're working their jobs, they don't have time to read past a headline. And so to get into like the actual article of the body of the article for it, so you take a headline, at what it's worth and everything, and you assume that it's correct. So the level of details that you actually need in America to be able to come up with a educated opinion on anything, because you have to read like 5 different sources in order to get the necessary information, because everybody's coming from a very biased like standpoint, and that's American media for you. I feel like when I was in France, it felt actually well reported and straightforward, in comparison to the US. And that's also part of the reason I'm starting a separate reporting channel than the Polish American Brotherhood. Like, of course, I'll be posting my content with reporting on the Polish American Brotherhood, but I won't be posting my content that's on Polish American Brotherhood onto the reporting channel. So the purpose of the reporting channel is not about my opinion. It's to just bring you straight up what is happening on the ground, so you can see for yourself and form your own opinions to it. So it's going to be straight reporting, as in the journalism that I learned when I went to school for journalism, that you're not supposed to be interjecting your opinion to it. That being separate now from the Polish American Brotherhood, where I will talk my head off and let you know exactly how I feel. So I'll keep those separate.
Well, your education depends on self motivation. If you going to high school, of course, this is good program, okay, but it matters when you come home, and depends what you're doing. If you're wasting your time, maybe on drugs, maybe on alcohol, maybe somehow you're getting bad nutrition, your brain not going to work properly. And that's the problem. No matter how hard you're going to strive to be better, you're not going to make any progress.
Even with high school, though, I almost feel like that's a waste of time too. Because like that's you could be more productive if you sure, maybe some people need the structure and stuff, but for those of us who don't, I think it should be offered more of an option, and less frowned upon for those who drop out of high school, I guess. If there's just other ways to go rather than this cookie cutter path that's being laid out for us. Like, it's interesting how like a lot of the world's like rich millionaires and everything are your college dropouts, because I think the formal education sometimes when they teach you a way to think as opposed to encouraging you to think for yourself. That's why a lot of our universities are these like liberal breeding grounds, because you're indoctrinating breeding grounds, because kids are not thinking for themselves. They're just accepting the opinions of their teachers and then regurgitating these, just one for one what they're being told, as opposed to, because when you actually look to ask them the question to get to the point of the matter, there isn't a point. So that's how you can tell if a person actually believes in what they're saying, or are they just saying the speaking points that they've been told to say.
Yeah, one thing I can give you example on Elon Musk, okay? This boy, already when he was young, it's not how much he learned in a school, it's how much he learned after school, okay? since a little boy, he was already involved in the computers and stuff like that. That's how he make first money, and his motivation make him the visionary. And you see what happened. He became the richest guy in the world. And thanks to him, the world is changing. Just think about the SpaceX, Tesla. Okay, he tried to change the world, and I believe with somebody help, I can change the world also with that retirees and homeless project.
Well, you've definitely changed and shaped my world, Dad. Speaking of supporting children, guys, let's go back to our fundraiser. So remember, we are here today raising money for Baby Fadi. He's 6 months old and he needs eye surgery so that way it can correct his deviated retina, which can, if left untreated, can result in permanent loss of vision and also hinder the development of depth perception in his childhood. So this is a surgery that's necessary to get when you're young. The sooner you're diagnosed with it, the sooner the better. So he was born with basically a blind eye, so it's extra vision. And it causes blurriness and double vision, and so this needs to be corrected in order for him not to lose his eyesight in the upcoming. So $1,000 is our goal, and with that $1,000, he'll be able to get the surgery necessary to correct this. So thank you to everybody who has been sending the super chats and also been donating to the GoFundMe. The link is posted below and throughout the chat. Sincerely appreciate it. Even if it's just $5, guys, like anybody who's sending in the super chats, I'll one for one. You send a $5 super chat, I'll put the $5 into the fundraiser. So I'll match it with the YouTube's transaction cut. I'll match that and put that into the fundraiser pot for Baby Fadi's surgery. So thank you again very much for supporting the goal to get to the $1,000, so that way this child, this 6-month-old baby, can get the surgery he needs so he can see the world and for all its beauty. Like I said earlier, for all its grandeur, the world is still a very beautiful place, and this child deserves to see the world as it is.
Yes, look, Elon Musk was born a genius. Maybe. I'm not gonna disagree with you because I don't know exactly, but I think he was normal child like everybody, and like everybody have a chance to be Elon Musk too. It's the environment which he was raised, and the positive thinking about in his mind how to change the world. That's what brought him to be a genius. That's what I think. That's my opinion. Okay, and every child have a chance to be a genius if they concentrate on something good. Like Elon Musk, he always was thinking to be better man, but then if I know a little bit history of Elon Musk, he told his wife, that from beginning that he wants a big businessman, and to be a big businessman, he have to look like like a businessman. But of course, you need the luck, and like you says, you have to know somebody. Of course, if your brother is a genius, you might learn something from him to be a genius too. So I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, success is going to be preparation meets opportunity. So there are things that are within your locus of control, and you have to be ready for when the opportunity presents itself. And also when you're ready, you're able to recognize the opportunity that's presenting itself. So those who are ready most likely are going to encounter that opportunity because they're going to be able to see the opportunity when others don't. So it is within our realm of our abilities to rise above our stations, no matter where we are born into life, and to have that success. And again, referring back to my dad, he had a very different childhood than me, and you can see how in one generation a family can elevate itself. And that's, again, why I am proud to be an American, because that kind of opportunity is not something that is offered in the rest of the world, and it's something that I was born into. I always say, like, my parents faced the struggle, the challenge to the challenge to live, so that way I could have the opportunity to succeed.
Yeah. One thing I have to tell you on my experiences, because I was born in a poor family. Sometimes end of the month we didn't have the money to buy food. Okay, and like rest of my neighborhood was the same. Okay, and only me from my friends, from my neighbors, which came to America and kind of better ourselves. When I went back to Poland, all my friends either died or something happened to them. They've been still poor, you know. Well, I born in the same neighborhood. I was born in the same environmental, but I could better myself because in my mind was that I want to go someplace where I can better myself, and that was America. Yeah.
That, and also you had very thick skin. As in, I remember one podcast that we were doing, and when we were talking about discrimination and how to rise above it. As clearly my dad's white, but I could see that, like, he's faced a lot of discrimination more than my Asian mother has. And I would argue that because, like, maybe because he has an accent or other things, but it still isn't anything that's ever held him back. And the difference is the mentality of not being a victim, even though, like, he's experienced a lot of hardships in his life, and and had challenges that are significantly, bigger challenges than a lot of people face in their world. Like, he's able to rise above it because he never felt that he was the victim to it. He just, like, anytime that somebody would say something to put it down, he didn't pay any attention to it. So, like, when you keep your brain outside, in your mind outside of this oppressive, like, what we're being told to be the victim, or that we are the victim, that we're oppressed by the system, that we're oppressed by people in society, and that we're owed this. That's actually what's going to hold you back from getting your goal, because that feeling of entitlement, that it's something that you're owed, as opposed to something that you should be going out there and getting. And so it's easier to tear down at somebody than to build something of your own. So, like, in a true competitive society and businesses, you have people who are creating to then create the best product, and they compete against each other. And so when you have that competition, that pressure, that's when you have the best cream that rises to the top, and that's where you'll have, like, the best of society come forward, as opposed to, like, those who are investing their time, instead of creating something, they're tearing down at somebody, because it's very easy to kick down that tower of Legos, as opposed to construct it yourself. And so that's a philosophy that I feel that needs to be shared and encouraged with people, is that we don't have that feeling of entitlement, or the attitude of entitlement, or that we ever feel the victim of the circumstances that are happening all around us. If you can keep your head and mind space out of feeling the victim, you'll be able to see the opportunities that are presenting itself in these challenging situations that face all of us as individuals.
Yeah, one thing what Jean Paul asking is what did Elon do? Uh, well, everybody heard what he's doing, okay? You know SpaceX, Tesla factory,
Yeah, he stepped
electrical
down as
cars.
the Twitter CEO, and got another lady to be the CEO, because he needs to focus on SpaceX. So we'll see what happens to Twitter.
Yeah, and you know that's SpaceX is very risky, okay? And hopefully he's gonna achieve his goal. And Elon Musk is a good organizer. He knows how to raise the money, and once you have the money, you can fulfill your dream. You know?
I think it's definitely also, like, a worthwhile venture. Like, when you're like, who knows what other technology is going to come as a result of trying to go out to space. Like, the other technologies that's going to be developed, I think we're going to have significant advancements. So, like, to have a very out there goal, I think that's going to contribute to a lot of developments that we'll see in in technological advancements. So, like, I'm sad to see him leave as the CEO of Twitter. I like the changes that were happening in that space, but I do think that he needs to be focusing, and I agree on SpaceX, and I think that he made the right decision when it comes to that.
One thing, you don't have to be a genius, okay? When you know how to good organize and raise the money, you can hire the genius people, genius people, and they will work for you. All the invention, what they will be doing, it will come to you, like Edison, you know, he was a genius too by the American standard, but don't forget that he hired people who helped him to be a genius, and one of them who was hired was Tesla, and he was the smart guy, but the thing is, what I heard that Edison tried to use him, for own good. That's why he quit when Edison cheated on him, but not paying him $50,000, what he promised to him. Tesla quit, and but thanks to Tesla, we have all that technology, everywhere. Even when we're sitting here, we have the electricity thanks to Tesla.
Actually, I went to Tesla's house, or where his urn with his ashes are. I had like a 9-hour layover in Serbia, and so in that 9-hour layover, I went to Tesla's house amongst a couple other like site places there. So that was pretty unique. And Dad, to your point, it's true. Like if you're able to hire people, you actually own their products and that you own their ideas. If it's developed, anything they develop, you own it because you hired them. And that was also my qualms about working in corporate life was that I was developing a lot of products that I didn't own at the end of the day. And so at the end of it, I just decided that if I'm going to be working this hard, the only person I'm going to work this hard for is going to be myself. So that way I own the product that I'm putting out there, and I own my own creation.
John Paul, why not, if Elon is watching over him, to make sure he meets the company's goals? Well, that's true, I mean, Elon Musk is a very motivated guy, and even there was no always successful. He never give up, and he continued. You know that first his rockets, 3 rockets, blew it out. He lost all his money, not only his money, but
Investors'
the
money.
investors' money. And with his luck, NASA saved him. When NASA find out that he have to close his business, help him with billions of dollars, and he continued. And when they ask him, when you're gonna give up? Never. So this guy, he never gonna retire. He never gonna retire. He gonna work till he die.
Well, if you love what you're doing, then it never feels like work.
Right.
Snuggs, you made a good point. Also, like the new CEO of Twitter, with her, he hired like basically a leftist. I mean, she did work for like the Trump administration, but Trump also didn't have like the best people around him. So I mean, we'll see what she develops. Hopefully, she's not going to make Twitter into this, back to this woke sphere that it once was. I agree with his decision to step away to focus on SpaceX, but it's to be seen about the choice that he made with the CEO that he has left in charge. I'm also hesitant about that myself, so we'll see. But speaking about like building the future, let's go back to our fundraiser, guys. Thank you so much for contributing to Baby Fadi's fundraiser to get eye surgery that he needs to save his vision. We've been podcasting and live streaming now for about 2 hours, so we are going to bring this to a close. We are going to be doing more live streams this week, and we're going to continue to fundraise until we hit our goal of $1,000, so we can have Baby Fadi's eye surgery covered and he can get his vision restored and make sure that he doesn't lose it in the future, which is a real risk that that children with this condition, deviation to their retina, face, that if they do not have this medically necessary surgery, that they will risk losing their vision permanently at a young age. So this is necessary for him to get this surgery as soon as possible. And the cost of the surgery is $1,000. Baby Fadi is in Jordan, and so $1,000 there gives the gift of sight. So I greatly appreciate everybody who has contributed during this live stream. In total, we've raised, let's see, I think it was like $70 in super chats and $50 on the gifts and go. So $120 in 2 hours, which is not bad because, we had a fluctuating between 15 to 25 people tuning into the live stream. So to fundraise $120, I am extremely grateful. I know that Fadi's dad is going to be extremely grateful. He was in the chat earlier this evening as well. It's a 6 hour. So actually more than 6 hours difference, so it's 9 hour time difference there. So he was in the chat earlier, and I'll express on his behalf to everyone here who's contributed. We greatly appreciate it. We'll continue to do more live streams throughout this week until we reach our goal, so that way this beautiful baby boy can have his surgery and can have the gift of sight. Dad, do you have any closing remarks?
Well, I just want to thank you, all the friends. It was very nice to chat with you. And I hope that Tara will continue our goal. Okay. And hopefully we can share with you all what we going to come up, because we will be working hard. Even I'm retired, 74 years old. I try to help my kids to go somewhere where they can help be beneficial to society, to Americans, because I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to America, okay? And I think the system, what it is in America, is very beautiful, but we have to make little bit improvements, okay?
There's always opportunities for improvement. Right. Even if we see it as a perfect system, we should never view it as perfect, because then we will miss those opportunities for improving it. So even if you feel you are at your personal best, never become comfortable with yourself, because you should always be striving to be better and better and better.
Because the richest country not supposed to be seeing people on the streets, and retirees never should worry. That's what we will be continue to work on it, and we'll let you know what our progress is. Thank you very much for being with us. And
right.
see you soon.
Yeah, see you guys very soon. So we'll be doing a lot. Looking forward to it, and I miss you guys. I know I haven't been doing the live streams for the last. I didn't do live streams while I was in France and just posted the video footage. But I will be doing. Live streams are and on the ground live streams is still my thing. So you guys will be seeing that in the future as events in America continue to unfold. So stay tuned, and we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Thank you.